Right, starting up this second session now. So, this is Module 4, and Introduction to Java. And in the session today, we're going to look at Jframes and showing windows, just a misspell on there, text entry, converting strings into integers, and swings. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create a small project where let's have just correct that spelling there. Let's have a text entry box that calculates, why not, the area of a circle. So that'll be the main bulk of the project. Okay, sounds good. Fine. So, what do we need first? First, we need to create a new project. So, I'm just going to get that set up now. So, there's our NetBeans. That was just lesson 1, so I'm going to create a new project. Call this one in the same folder lesson 2. Might have to just jump out of this stream just for a second, then jump straight back in, depending on how it goes. Right, so this is what we had before. We had our main method, and we created variables in different places. One within inside the method called main, and one within the class. We called those class level variables. Looking on the left hand side, you have the package called lesson 2. We're going to right click that, and I'm going to go to new and JFrame form. So this is going to generate a window that we're going to use to display information. I'm going to call this one main screen. I'm only calling it main screen just because I couldn't think of anything else. But ideally, what we're going to have, we have this window here. So what I would like is when I run the program, I want that window to appear. But it doesn't appear. The build runs, but it doesn't appear. So let's look back in here, back in the main method. To create the main screen and make it appear, we have to create a new instance of it, the same way as we do variables. So if I did int a, that's creating an instance of an integer. If I did string a, that's creating an instance of a string. I'm going to call in the name of that window, which is called main screen. That is the name of the class, which I'll come to classes later on. Main screen. Right, so I've called this one main screen, which is also the name of the class. Now, I could call it exactly the same thing, but that's not going to work. The reason why I've decided to do this is called camel case, where the first letter is small and the rest and the first letter of each word following that is capitalized. It's called camel case. We'll do that just so that it's easier to see what that object is. I could call it poop if I wanted to, and I wouldn't have any bother. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to call it main screen. Equals new main screen. Open close brackets, semicolon. So that creates, this says that I'm going to create a main screen object, and I'm going to call it main screen. Inside there, I'm going to put everything that belongs to the new main screen class. Excuse me, which is this window here. Right, so with that, main screen dot. Now, I have told my students to use .show. .show is fine, that will work, but it's obsolete. Instead of .show, we're now going to start using setVisible. And we can return true or false. Remember last session we looked at booleans, or briefly looked at booleans, and that booleans could either be true or false. If I set it as true, what do you think is going to happen when I hit play? That new window pops up. It's got nothing on it, but that new window appears. Excuse me. So here it is. Let's quickly dive into the code. So we have design and source. You have the package, again, which is the folder location. Then the name of the class. This says that it inherits everything from the swing called Jframe. I did say that will cover swings, and we'll come to that in a second. Next, we have a constructor. We don't need to do anything with that yet. We might not even need to cover it this session. Then we have a load of generated code, which we don't need to look at right now at this point. So let's just hide all of that. And then underneath there is a main method to make the window appear, but we're not going to need to look at that. So what we're going to do instead is go into the design. Let's just look at the objectives of the session again. Jframes and show window. Right, so we've actually already covered Jframes and showing the window. So we've got that one done. That's how we create a Jframe and make it appear in the window. The next, we have text entry. Okay, so let's look at some of these swings. We have labels. We have buttons. We have toggles, checkboxes, combo boxes, and text areas, and loads and loads and loads. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through the ones that I need today. Okay. I'm going to bring in a text field and drag and drop that in there. So there is my text field object. Right. Sorry about the sniffing. Just quickly describe what this is. So it has a text area in which I can fill it in with some blank instructions. Enter a number. Right. I'm going to run my window. Run my program, and the window will appear, and we should have the project appear. I'm just going to add that, make that appear. So that's window capture. Sorry, 2 seconds. Java. Hey, there it is. There. Okay. So that is my project. It does say JText field 1, but that's not what I wanted. Why has it allowed us to do that? Let's have a look. So I could just edit the text, but for some reason, I wanted to actually say that in the window. So I'm going to close the application, just run it again, just to make sure that it just didn't load properly. Yes, it didn't. It didn't load properly, so there we go. It's showing up on there now. Why have I got to... Sorry, 2 seconds. Again, that should be the Java app that's running. Apologies, there's a bit of a clot on this piece of equipment. There we go. Right, that's what we're looking at. And we need to close that application, and when I close the application, actually, very quickly, I can Control A, and I can replace all of that text, which is what I want type numbers in. I'm just going to close this window, and it makes the application just like appear again. I'll just move that out of the way, because that's not what I want. So that enters the that's our text box, but it doesn't do anything yet. So this is going to be an event-driven program where only only events will run when I give it an event or I tell it to do something. So I want all of my code to run when I use a button. Okay, so looking at this button, I'm going to right click it and I'm going to edit text. I'm going to just type in submit. So that's going to just tell the user that press the button once you've entered some text. Right click the button, and the next one on there is change variable name. So we looked before at integers. We looked at sorry, I don't know if you can see that where it's saying where I'm right clicking it. Just because of the capture software, I don't know if that works in the same kind of way. No, it doesn't. Okay. In your projects, I'd like you to right click that button. When you do that, it will ask you to change the variable name. You could also look on the properties here on the right hand side and change it through there. Let's have a look at what those are. So we have this one here that says text. That's where we've changed it to the button. And I want to look for change variable name. Haven't looked for it on here yet. Accessibility name, accessible name. Not quite. What is its current variable name? I'm just going to check that. Right click, change variable name, J button 1. Is it on code? Yes, right, okay, so we have properties. That on this window we have properties. That is the properties of the object itself. And then on the end there we have code. And in code we can manipulate the name of its variable. We can set it as public or private. That's for another day. So it's currently named JButton1, but that is not an appropriate name for it, I guess. So I'm just going to type in submit button. Again, I'm using camel case. I'm using a word short for button on there. Okay. So here, this window, what I want to do is get whatever's been typed in there and make it appear and tell it something else. So I'm also going to need a way to display information. I'm going to have this label here. I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to set the text as answer. I'm going to change the code, change the variable to ans LBL. That's nice and easy, but understandable, but also being lazy at the same time. Again, excuse me. Right. So this source code hasn't actually added anything to it apart from this line here that says that those swings are in there, and it says do not modify, because it's generating all of that code for you in this IDE in NetBeans. But if I double click the submit button, it takes us to this line of code. It says private void submit button action performed, and then to do, add your code handling here. So this bit, it can be used to once you press the button, I want it to do something. So let's have the program. What should I do just to test it? Hang on, the application's just frozen. There we go. So what would I like it to do? I would like it to I'm going to use this dot set visible. I'm going to change that to false, just to demonstrate how that button works, and I'll delete it straight afterwards. So I've run the program. Here's my window. I've got my enter the number box. I've got my answer button, and I've got my submit button. I've at the minute told it to this dot set visible false. Sorry, you can't see the application again. Yep, can't see the application again. I'm just gonna bring that back up. That's PowerPoint. There we go. So the application is there. So that's what it looks like. Sorry, 2 seconds. I'm just gonna have to pause the stream a second. Right, sorry about that. Just had to make a quick phone call. Right, so what have I made so far? I've made the application appear, but what I haven't done is I click the button and it's going to make the application close. But the streaming program isn't very good with making that window close. So I've actually ran it and it has closed, but it's now just totally freaking out because it doesn't know what's going on. That's the stream's fault. That's not the video. Okay, I'm gonna move that out of the way now. The window has stopped showing on my screen, and if you're programming alongside, it will have also stopped as well. So that's just making it disappear, but I don't want it to do that. I want it to do something else. This time I want to take the answer box and I want to turn that into something else. So this needs a variable as well, which is, I've called it ansLabel. When I press the button, I want it to go ANSLBL, which is ansLabel, that's the name of the variable, dot, and there's lots of different things. So if I said the word get means to read, and I said set means to write, I'm going to use set text, which means to write. And it's asked us what string would I like to put in there. I would like to put button pressed. Let's run the application and see what and see how that looks. Actually, I just realised that won't make your application stop. It'll actually just hide it. There's a cross in the bottom right hand corner where it says click the cancel process. Click that. That'll stop the application running. What it did is it actually just hid the window rather than actually removing the stop the application. So it just made the window disappear. Okay, so how does that look now? So the window opens up. Let's just get that on the screen. That's PowerPoint. That's it, Paint. Where's my application? Where's my application gone? There we go. There it is. So this time I'm going to hit submit, and it now says button press when I clicked it. Right, so that is setting text. Let's just get that window out of the way again. That sets the text. What if I would like, well, not what if, but that is setting text, right? So set text will get the text component of that swing and give it a name. What I want to do is I want to get whatever is said in this one. Okay? So it says enter a number and I need to give it a variable name. So it's currently called JTextField1, but that is not appropriate. That is not a good name for it. I'm going to use JTextField1. Let's call it TXTBOX, short for text box. Right, let's go back into the source, and again, I'm not double clicking it, I'm going back into the source and making sure I'm actually inside the button. I could double click the button, if that's easier, and it takes us back into that code that I want. This time, I would like to sorry, 2 seconds. Right, sorry, distracted. Let's write this in first. So that's txtbox dot get text. Okay, so that just gets the text, but we need to put it somewhere. We could just take that line of code and put it inside here. Paste it in, because this is a string. So let's run it and see what happens now. Let's go back onto my application. Just make that appear again. 2 seconds. So there's my program. This time I'm going to type in something, and it's going to, when I press this button, get the text and set it somewhere else. There we go. So it's got that string, and it's pressed this button, and it's set it onto this one. That's that one done. Can I just leave that up there? I wonder. Okay, so what next? So what about if you wanted to convert that into an integer because we wanted to add it up or something like that, right? You can't just add a string which has a number in it to another string. What I would like to do is create a string called temp will do, and say that the string that I create will get the text from that text box and save it into that variable. Now I'm going to stick that variable into set text. Let's see how that looks on the application again. What? There we go. That's what that looks like. That's what I want. So again, just press submit and it changes it to there. So that's working fine. That's what I want so far. But just thinking. Now that that's stored in, I can change temp to something else. Or I could add to it. Add like a second string. So that it says more than one thing. What I would like to do is I'd like to turn it into an integer. To do that, I need to create an integer first. Call this one temp int. Equals integer dot parse int. So parse int will convert that variable into an integer. And then it asks for a string. I'm going to type in the word temp, which has already done it for us. It's assumed that's what I'm going to include in. Semicolon. So it should turn that string into an integer, and that will work every time as long as I don't include any other characters than numbers. If it includes anything else than numbers, then it's not going to work. And I wanted to write temp int, but it's going to break because you can't just put an int back into a string. We've got to convert, so I could do int dot toString, but what might be easier is to add a string to it just by doing that. Like that. Shut up. It's my dog going nuts. It's alright, Leo. Good boy. Shut up. Good boy. Okay. So now it does work. The next thing... Leo, man! Come here. Hello. Hello, Mocka. I've got two dogs, Leo and Mocka, and they're both pains. No, shut up. Come here. I took you out. Wait. Sorry about that. So, an integer called temp in. So pass that in, and then we'll print that out. That's fine. Right. What if? So now that I have this as an integer in between those lines of code, I want to do something with it. Shut up. See, dear me. Equals, and I'm going to do pi r squared, which is going to take that number that already exists, and it will work out the area of a circle based on the radius that I get. So, I know, it's terrible. Okay, so to do that, I'll do, I'm going to use brackets, because it's algebra. Good practice to do that, and put it in the right place, etc, etc. Temp int multiplied by temp int, so that's that by that multiplied by math dot. Is there a math.py? Yes, there's a math.py, so that'll do. Ooh, we have an error. Why is it saying that? So, guess what? Math.py is a double. What a surprise, because that isn't a whole number. So if you hadn't spotted it already, I need to actually not use a integer, but a double. And I also can't just parse int. I need to do double dot parse. Yes, you guessed it. Double. Then include that in there. Now I'm going to run the program. And now we're going to see what the result is. And if it has worked. There we go. If it's worked. So let's type in a number. 3. Submit. The answer is 228. Done. So there we go. We now have a very small application that will work out the area of a circle using that equation. Nice and simple. Very simple programming. But what we've done is we have managed to cover Jframes and show on a window, text entry, converting strings to integers, and a couple of swings. We've done that by creating a text entry box that calculates the area of a circle. So that is good. Looking back at this, I tell you what, the next thing I'm going to do, let's quickly write out the objectives for lesson 2. So the objectives for lesson 2 are going to be, lesson 3. Switch that over to PowerPoint so you can see what I'm doing. PowerPoint. There it is. What should the objectives for lesson 3 be? Let's have, I don't know why this size is just ridiculous. Make multiple windows show. Pass variables between. Actually, have I already typed this out? Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll do this first, then we'll do for loops the lesson after. Loops and ifs and stuff like that afterwards. So make multiple windows show. We'll do that next. We'll pass variables between windows. And how should we do that? Let's have a simple maths calculator thingy. Oh, and we'll also include must include a a method I have created. So the idea behind that is I'm not going to repeat quotes, which we looked in lesson 1. Okay, so there's the objectives. I'm going to stop the stream now. Thanks for watching. Next one might be same time tomorrow. If you want to tune in, you can do. I'll do it maybe about 7 o'clock tomorrow, or I might do another subject on the weekend. I will do a lot more, and I'll just throw like a couple of them out. Okay.